Welcome to Retirement Unlimited, the show where we talk about life's hard questions. I'm Jeremiah Lee. This is Randy Barkley. We're both certified financial planners. I'm also a California licensed attorney. We've been talking about propositions. We made it through a few of the economic ones. I think this one's interesting, partly because my understanding is it's the third time we've seen it.
Yeah.
So this is Prop 29 that's coming up in the November election. It's dialysis regulation. I see ads for this constantly. This is kind of
It's kind of like gambling. It just seems like it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big fight. There's a lot of money going in. The kind of understanding the players. There's basically a union group that is trying to
SEIU.
Yeah, SEIU. Yep, the SEIU West. They are trying to, for their comments, protect workers and protect patients is their statement. They've spent, it looks like $7.8 million in this ad. The no is DaVita, which is a large company. Franzese, I forget how you say that, but they're both providers. They're both dialysis providers, big corporations. They spent 86 million to defeat
86 million.
86 million. And so it's uneven fight. This is lost twice and it's got brought back a third time. So they're resilient in trying to do this. And I have a hard time knowing the truth, candidly. I've not gone through dialysis, and I don't have anyone close to me that's going through dialysis currently. I've had some in the past, but none currently. And so, whether that is a unsafe, horrible working conditions type environment, or if it's really convenient to have a clinic that they can go to. The big issue here is that they want to have doctors on site or registered nurses on site to kind of limit, in my understanding, the proliferation of sites. They say these either need to be increased to have more medical supervision.
It seems to me that it's a target to unionize those employees. And to unionize those employees, they're going to have more control over wages and conditions and things like that.
Yeah.
The question is, I've known some people who have gone through dialysis. I've never had anybody complain that they weren't getting the service and or the delivery of the drugs.
Yeah, safe treatment, or that employees are having to work 15-hour days. And I don't know. And people that are listening probably know better than we do of that industry. But similar, I've not heard that this is an unsafe or horrible place to work.
I can't imagine that somebody, if you walked into a dialysis, because if you're on Medicare or any kind of medical insurance, it'll pay for your dialysis. So if you're not getting the care and the treatment that you feel is appropriate, you can go someplace else. I would think that it has some competitive aspects to it. At least I know in Southern California, there's many dialysis clinics.
Yeah, and I don't know how much they're the same brand or how much they're different, and that'd be an interesting discussion. But another issue with dialysis is that it's my understanding it's a repetitive process. You have to be there for 8 hours a day for the blood transfusion, and you have to go either weekly or monthly. So it's a regular process. So someone who lives, say, 2 hours away from a clinic will have some difficulty, getting there, getting back. Whereas if there's one within 20, 30 minutes of you, I see it's useful. So I just think part of this is interesting that, one, I'm not highly educated on this or don't have a lot of experience with this, but it's the third time. And so it keeps getting defeated. However, there's enough interest, and that's part of our proposition system, I guess. If you can get enough signatures to get it on the ballot, you can keep bringing it on the ballot again and again and again. But, slightly different version, trying to get it to pass. And we'll see what happens this year with it. But
clearly, the money is by the owners of these dialysis clinics is to say, no, we don't want to unionize. We don't want the union come in and unionize their employees. And on top of that, we feel like what we're providing is a safe and secure environment for our patients.
Yeah.
Right.
So
anyway.
So interesting. Let's jump to 31. This is the flavored tobacco ban. As a lot of people know, tobacco generally comes in, tobacco flavored, but they have, peach and mint and all the different things that can come out. And with vaping, there's been concerns that, these are either marketed to or consumed by kids is one concern. Others will say, no, that's not the issue. Consenting adults that are of appropriate age, they should have it.
Right.
So I think it's interesting how California is, a progressive. Hey, we need to be inclusive. We need to, put on these moral ideas or lead this and freedoms and acceptance. But then there's also things like this where it says, but not that one. We need to be against this one. We need to push away and kind of limiting the freedom. And some people may see California as limiting freedom in all aspects. I'm not sure. It's interesting that we're trying to bring in online sports betting, which some people would say is a vice. But at the same time, we're limiting your ability to obtain flavored tobacco, which
so they're picking
others
and
would say is a
choosing
vice.
what is right or wrong, I guess.
Yeah, to some extent. And, I'm sure they can make cases of, this one has sports gambling addiction. Tobacco is addictive with its kids. I'm not sure. I don't smoke and I don't see this as a big concern, I would just think to ban it because I don't think it's needed. I would have some concern that kids would see this as more of a, hey, that's a fun thing versus this is an addictive thing.
I mean, how do you pick and choose your morality? I mean, Prop 1 is trying to make abortion a constitutional amendment.
Right.
I have a really big problem with that one. But again, my personal response to that is that whenever you try to legislate morality, you have a problem. You have a problem because people are going to find their way to do whatever they want to do.
In California, I think has left that struggle. Are we legislating morality? They left that decades ago. I think they said, sure, yeah, we want to. We want our society to look like this, and so we're going to legislate what we want. In the tobacco one, it's interesting. 38 million has come from Kaiser, or from Yes, and Kaiser is one of those. And then the no vote on this is Philip Morris and R.J. Reynolds.
So they're the providers. They are the manufacturers of these.
I think for a lot of folks, it's hard to get behind what Philip Morris and R.J. Reynolds, whatever they're saying, to say yes, I'll agree with them. But I also think there's an element of personal freedom, that has to cut against this to say, this shouldn't be sold to kids anyways because there's already rules against that.
Right.
So it's interesting how that one will turn out. I'll probably vote no just because I don't care about tobacco and don't think it's useful.
It's kind of like me with the gambling. I don't gamble. I think it's a vice that we shouldn't have in our society. I don't play the lottery. You hear about the lottery winners, but at the end of the day, I'm going, I think a lot of people spend a lot of money that they shouldn't be spending for that. It could be better used in other ways. But
I mean, 7-Eleven offers a Slurpee for $1. So I mean, you can buy a ticket or you just get yourself a Slurpee. I don't know how much joy you get out of either one.
I get it. So we can talk about all that. But anyway, we can go off on that.
Yeah. I mean, as everyone knows, the election's coming up, and similar to your comments, everyone should vote, whether you vote this way or a different way. I think it's a beautiful part of our country that you have the right to vote, and you should do it. So get out and vote, and hopefully this is helpful to give some context to these items.
And if you missed any part of this episode, you can always go to our website, which is retirementunlimited.com or Tricord Advisors, and you can go to the section where it says the radio program Retirement Unlimited and look not only at this episode but also in previous episodes. And again, if you'd like to do anything, you'd like us to talk about anything that we haven't talked about either in this or in previous episodes, go to our link and send us a question. We'd be more than happy to talk about it on a radio program. Until next week, folks, may you grow in wisdom and knowledge. Thank you for listening.